Who killed Jesus? A few days ago, I had the privilege of preaching a sermon on Palm Sunday. In a few days, I'll be preaching a sermon on Resurrection Sunday. And we all know that in between those two events, the great cheering crowd and the glory of the resurrection, in between those two events was the Passion of our Lord, where he was handed over to the Roman authorities, scourged by their guards, and crucified. It is, friends, the only truly horrific event in the history of the world, because it's the only time an innocent man has ever suffered. But to answer the question, who did this? I want to start first with Jesus. Because though Jesus was in one sense the victim of the only injustice in the history of the world, in another sense, he volunteered. He agreed to go through this. He came for this purpose. He laid down his life like a lamb before the slaughter. He volunteered. So part of the answer is Jesus. Another part of the answer is the Jewish leadership. Now, there's a lot of fear out there, and I understand it, given history, that to acknowledge this truth is to somehow fan the flames of anti-Semitism, which is the last thing I would ever want to do. Well, that's not true. The last thing I would ever want to do is tell a lie. So even if it would fan those flames, the truth is, involved in this were the scribes and the Pharisees. It's not the case that every or even the majority of Jewish folk in Jerusalem in this time wanted to see it happen. Jesus had many, many followers who loved him, almost all of whom were Jewish. So it's not a racial thing. It's a particular group of people. But you also can't let the Romans off the hook. Pontius Pilate tried in some sense. He didn't try very hard, but he tried in some sense to set Jesus free. He made a big show of washing his hands, saying, "This isn't on me," but it is on him. He ordered it to happen. He could have stopped it, and he chose not to. Even he who knew that Jesus was innocent. The Roman soldiers, all of them, guilt, guilt, guilt. We can lay it at the feet of Judas. Judas is the one who betrayed Jesus to the scribes and the Pharisees. But I think the healthiest perspective, all of these things are true. Yes, Jesus. Yes, by the way, God the Father. It pleased him to bruise the Son. He laid stripes on his Son for our sake. Don't miss that. It is the work of Jesus. It is the work of the Father. It is the work of the Jews. It is the work of the Romans. It is the work of Judas. And friends, it is the work of you and me. Who killed Jesus? I did. I did for at least two reasons. One, if I had been there and God had not restrained my more base inclinations, I surely would have been just as much a part of it as any of those people. I'm not better than them. But secondly, it happened so that he could die for the sins of his people. If there are no sins of his people, there's no death. Which means even if you're one of his, you are guilty too. I killed Jesus. You killed Jesus. All God's children killed Jesus. And yet, God in his glory made the most horrid, horrific injustice into the very climax of the story of his glory.